So friends, the new Supreme Court ruling on the birthright citizenship front is not good, but I don't think it's nearly as bad as it appears to be at first blush. Let's talk about that, because justice matters. Hey all, Glenn Kirshner here. So friends, first of all, as you can probably tell, I am not in my studio. I am traveling at the moment, but I wanted to jump on and talk for just a few minutes about the new Supreme Court ruling in the birthright citizenship case. There's a lot of discussion about it, and I will admit when I first saw the headlines hit, I was like, are you effing kidding me? But I took some time going through it, and boy, it is long, it is dense, it is fairly complex and a little confusing. There are lots of separate opinions. Justice Amy Coney Barrett wrote the majority opinion, but then you've got Kavanaugh writing his own concurring opinion, and Alito writing one, and Thomas writing one. You've got Justice Sotomayor writing a dissent. You've got Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson writing a dissent. But I want to try to break it down to its essence and translate it from legalese to English, and then talk about why, this is really a procedural ruling from the Supreme Court, not a substantive ruling. They have not said that Donald Trump picking up a damn Sharpie and crossing out the guarantee of birthright citizenship expressly found in the Constitution is good to go. It's lawful. It's constitutional. They didn't say that. They talked about the procedure by which litigants can bring cases, asserting that, their right to birthright citizenship as guaranteed by the Constitution cannot be just crossed out of the Constitution by Donald Trump. This is a procedural, not a substantive ruling. Let me start briefly with the new reporting, and this is going to be a little bit of a bumpy video because I don't have my dry erase whiteboard behind my camera, which is a little inside baseball. That's a secret there. That's what I'm usually looking to, and I have some time to organize and prepare my daily Justice Matters videos, but not so much today, so bear with me this way. This one might seem a little bumpier than usual. I want to start with a little bit of the new reporting. This is from NBC News, and the headline is Supreme Court Birthright Citizenship Ruling Sparks New Round of Legal Fights. Within hours of the ruling, which curbs nationwide injunctions, challengers filed new court papers seeking to block Trump's plan via a different legal avenue. And that article begins, almost as soon as the Supreme Court released its ruling limiting the ability of judges to block President Donald Trump's plan to end birthright citizenship, challengers, that is plaintiffs, people who would be affected by Donald Trump's unconstitutional executive order, challengers brought new legal claims seeking the same result by a different means. While the court on Friday said judges cannot issue sweeping universal injunctions that can apply nationwide in many cases, it left open the option of plaintiffs seeking broad relief via class action lawsuits. The American Civil Liberties Union filed such a lawsuit in New Hampshire on behalf of immigrants whose children may not obtain U.S. citizenship at birth if Trump's order were to go into effect. In a separate case in Maryland, in which groups had obtained the nationwide injunction, lawyers filed an amended complaint seeking similar class-wide relief from anyone affected by Trump's plan within hours of the ruling written by Justice Amy Coney Barrett. Quote, every court to have looked at this cruel order agrees that it is unconstitutional, said ACLU lawyer Cody Wolfsey. The Supreme Court's decision did not remotely suggest otherwise. So friends, let's cut right to the chase. The 6-justice majority, the usual suspects, Amy Coney Barrett, John Roberts, Kavanaugh, Thomas, Alito, Gorsuch, they said, we don't like the idea of one plaintiff coming into court, and we're going to use kind of hypothetically as our plaintiff for this discussion, a pregnant woman who is perhaps undocumented, but who has lived in the United States for decades, raising children, working, paying taxes, violating no laws, and she's about to give birth. And her child, when born here in the United States, would be an American citizen by operation of the Constitution. That's the part Donald Trump tried to take his Sharpie and cross out. So we're going to use that plaintiff in our discussion. So in essence, the 6-justice majority said, we don't like that one plaintiff being able to bring a suit to assert her constitutional rights and have a judge issue a nationwide injunction that everything must stop because this one plaintiff brought a suit. But what the 6-justice majority suggested is that, listen, if you have a class action, for example, you have several women who are about to deliver children who are living here in the United States, and when that child is delivered, that child will be an American citizen. If you bring several and you have the court certify a class of such plaintiffs, let me just arbitrarily say, maybe a class of all women who have given birth over the past year to children in the United States and all women who are, going to deliver in the next 3 months or 6 months. I'm just arbitrarily sort of putting parameters on a class for class action lawsuit purposes. And the justices say, and the judge certifies that class, well, then that case can proceed. And everybody in that class will be part of the suit and will be protected by, for example, an injunction that is issued. So this is really a procedural ruling, not a substantive ruling. No justice said Donald Trump's, canceling out of a constitutional right with a Sharpie is appropriate, is lawful, is constitutional. Nobody has said that, and I don't happen to believe they ever will, though I trust the Supreme Court exactly as far as I can throw them. But we're not there. We're nowhere near that stage. So what has happened is lots of lawyers and organizations have already filed amended lawsuits, amended complaints to bring class action lawsuits, as the Supreme Court opinion suggested was the way to go. So the Institute for Constitutional Advocacy at Georgetown Law has done so. The Democracy Defenders Fund, Norm Eisen's group, has done so. The ACLU, the NAACP Legal Defense Fund, there are all of these groups who have already brought or are going to bring amended complaints, amended lawsuits to comply with the new Supreme Court ruling. But so I don't think our hair needs to be on, well, my hair never needs to be on fire. I don't think our hair needs to be on fire with respect to this ruling, even though I don't like the fact that you can say, well, anybody who's not part of a class or maybe doesn't have the money to hire a lawyer and bring a legal challenge, that person's just shit out of luck. Sorry. That's really not the way constitutional protections are supposed to operate. But here's what I want to do, friends. I tried to go through as much of this opinion as I could, and I want to take one little snippet of what Justice Amy Coney Barrett said in the majority opinion and compare it and contrast it to something Justice Sotomayor said in the dissent. And then I'm going to argue that this is kind of foreshadowing that when they get to the merits, they're going to rule in accordance with the express language in the Constitution that Donald Trump can't use his Sharpie to cross out constitutional guarantees. So let me start with Justice Amy Coney Barrett and something that she said in the majority opinion. And she was talking about, just to kind of put it in context, I don't want to turn this into a Team Justice Law School class. I want to keep it layman friendly, right? Translated from legalese to English. But just indulge me for a minute. She was talking about the difference between complete relief for a plaintiff, that pregnant woman who's about to deliver, and the protections and the constitutional guarantee that her child will be an American citizen when born here. Complete relief for that plaintiff versus universal relief for all plaintiffs, similarly situated plaintiffs. Now remember, this case didn't involve a class action. So the issue in this case was just one plaintiff and whether there should be a nationwide injunction that will apply to everybody. Here's what Amy Coney Barrett said. Prohibiting enforcement of the executive order against the child of an individual pregnant woman, pregnant plaintiff in a case, will give that plaintiff complete relief. Her child will not be denied citizenship once born here. Put a pin in that. That's important. But extending the injunction to cover all similarly situated individuals would not render her relief, that one pregnant woman plaintiff, would not render her relief any more complete. And so Amy Coney Barrett was getting at, you know what, it really needs to be a class action suit, not just a suit brought by one person that then inspires a nationwide injunction. Okay, here is what Justice Sotomayor said in response. I love Justice Sotomayor's opinions, including her dissents. She said, okay, so your ruling suggests that constitutional guarantees might not apply to anyone who isn't a party to the lawsuit? And friends, that's such an important point because there is a clause in the Constitution that guarantees all persons equal protection of the laws. And that clause does not have attached to it that all persons enjoy equal protection of the laws if they file a lawsuit to assert and protect their rights. No. And that's what Justice Sotomayor seems to be getting at. And I think it's a great counterpoint to Justice Amy Coney Barrett's point about complete relief for the one person versus universal relief for all. No, I actually am in favor of universal relief for all if a runaway, lawless, corrupt, abusive president tries to revoke everyone's constitutional rights. Yeah, there should be a universal relief for all. Now the Supreme Court says, yeah, but it has to be brought as a class action. Let me go back to where I asked you all to put a pin in it, though, because I love this. It seems to me that Justice Amy Coney Barrett is signaling, I don't want to read too much into it, signaling that, of course, at the end of the day, if you're born here, you're a citizen here because the Constitution says so. And I'll point specifically to the clause that she uses. She says, her child, the pregnant plaintiff who brings a legal challenge to Donald Trump's executive order, her child will not be denied citizenship if born here, if she is the plaintiff in this lawsuit. Boy, that sure sounds like she is signaling that we need to touch all the procedural bases, but when attorneys do, and when plaintiffs do, and when organizations do, via class action lawsuits, her child will not be denied citizenship when born here. And that is one of the things that appears in Justice Amy Coney Barrett's majority opinion that I agree with. The Constitution provides for birthright citizenship, and Donald Trump can't take his Sharpie and cross it out. Because justice matters. Thank you, friends, for sticking with me and bearing with me through a little bit of a bumpier, procedurally, this video might have been a little bumpier than normal, but thank you for sticking with me. Please stay safe. Please stay tuned. And I look forward to talking with you all again tomorrow.